Hey everybody out there in Ready, Set, Thrive land. This is Alicia McPeak. My glasses are kind of crooked. So I wanted to come to you guys today and talk to you about the compound effect. And I posted earlier the book. It's The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. I read it several years ago and it really did have a profound impact on me. And I'm going to tell you how I've applied these changes to my life and how I've helped others apply these changes to their life as well. So, for example, when it comes to nutrition, I'd like to do nutrition and exercise. Every time I work with somebody on a nutrition plan or program and I'm helping them change their lifestyle or their habits, it comes down to the fact that almost nobody can change everything in one fell swoop and make it a permanent change. I like to work on little tiny small changes at a time that'll have a big impact. And so, for example, I have a program of repair, replenish, and replace, and I just pick one thing in each category. Sometimes I add a fourth category. For my own self, for example, or anybody, let's say we want to start exercising. Well, one of the ways that I start doing things that always gets me back in the habit of doing something is by doing it for 15 minutes a day. Just 15 minutes a day. So, for example, I decided at the beginning of the year that I wanted to start running again. So I just made a goal to run 15 minutes a day. That's it. And I also track everything. And I think this is really important. So I use an app called Don't Break the Chain. And I started with just one habit. And this is the most important thing you can do is just start with one habit. Think about a time when you gave up something. Like I always like to use Coca-Cola, like a soda, or cigarette smoking as examples. And maybe you've not done any of those things, but maybe you have something in your life that you've done that at one point you decided to give it up. And I'm going to use Coke. So let's say you have a Coke with your lunch every day. Your sandwich and your Coke go together and they make sense together. And one day you decide you don't need to or want to drink Cokes anymore. Well, at first, every time you go pick up your sandwich, you're looking for your Coke. Every single day you're looking for your Coke. And then after a little while, after about maybe a week or two, or you start noticing you haven't thought about a Coke at lunchtime for a couple of days. And then about a week later, you realize you haven't thought about it in about a week. And then one time, maybe a month later or longer, you go, gosh, I haven't thought about a Coke in, geez, I can't remember the last time I thought about a Coke. Well, that's when a behavior becomes a permanent change. And when it becomes a permanent change, now it's automatic. You're not thinking about it anymore. Then you can go ahead and add something else and change something else. But let me give you Darren's explanation of how this really works over the long haul. I'm going to use an example of 3 friends that he uses in the book. And then I'm going to sum it up with how to make that apply to your life. So he talks about 3 friends who live in the same neighborhood, and each makes about $50,000 a year. And they're all married. They're healthy with average body weight. Scott decides to make some small positive, seemingly undetectable changes in his lifestyle. Scott cuts out just 125 calories from his diet every day. That's it, 125. He trades his favorite soda for water, just as an example. He started to read 10 pages of self-development book every day, just 10 pages. He listened to an inspirational audio material on his commute to work. He walks around the block for 30 minutes daily, and he's determined to stick to these changes. Now, his friend Brad makes a number of questionable choices. He recently purchased a large screen TV so he can watch his favorite cooking programs, and he even tries out these new cheesy casseroles at home and homemade desserts. These are his favorite things. He adds an alcoholic drink per week to his diet. And then there's Larry, the 3rd friend. Larry doesn't make any changes to his lifestyle. He's doing exactly what he's always been doing. Well, there's not noticeable differences after 5 months between these 3 friends. Scott's still reading and listening to motivational material. Larry's still doing the same nothing. And Brad's living his good life, eating good desserts, eating good food, sitting in front of the TV. After 2 years, there's a noticeable difference, though. Almost 3 years later, the differences are astonishing. Scott has a trimmer waistline by simply removing 125 calories a day. That's it. He has lost 33 pounds. Now think about in the reverse. If you just add 125 pounds to your diet every day in 3 years, you've gained 33 pounds, okay? Scott's invested almost 1,000 hours in himself by reading and listening to self-improvement material. He's put his newly gained wisdom into practice, earning him a promotion and a raise at work. And most of all, Scott's marriage is thriving. Meanwhile, Brad consumed 125 calories more every day, and he's gained 33.5 pounds and weighs 67 pounds now more than Scott, because Scott went down and he went up, right? Big difference. This whole situation makes Brad reach for more food. He withdraws from his wife. His wife takes it all personally, and Brad's poor choices are the root of their marital problems. He finds fault in his wife. Brad does not know how to examine himself, and they do not offer self-development lessons on all his favorite cooking programs. So the thought would have occurred to him, if he, like Scott, had invested in self-development books, maybe he would have taken some personal responsibility. Larry's exactly the same 3 years later. Nothing's changed, okay? This is just kind of an example that Darren uses in the book that kind of shows how little tiny changes over time make a big impact. So I like to pick like one change in each area of your life and start with one thing and start small. 15 minutes a day. That's it. I love 15 minutes a day because I think we can hold ourselves to something for 15 minutes, right? It's not like, oh, I need to go exercise for an hour. I can go out and move my body for 15 minutes and then track it. And I track literally everything. This is something that Darren Hardy talks a lot about, is tracking it. I have trackers for my business. I have trackers for my daily, boring, mundane routines, okay? In the morning, I have 5 things that I do when I first get up every morning. And they're household things, like they're my little household chores. All together, these 5 things take maybe an hour at the most, but I do them this like clockwork every day without thinking about it. And I have them on my calendar though, because I like to check things off. I get a lot of pleasure out of checking things off and say I did it. And I have the same thing for my business. I think it's 4 things that I do every single day for my business. So in summary, let me wrap this up because I know you guys don't want to listen to me all night. So Darren Hardy says this: choices, which are our decisions, plus behaviors, which are our actions, plus our habits, those daily repeated things, and the compound effect, which is time. Hey, Lorraine, I see you read the book. Yes, it's great. That equals our goals, okay? That's what gets to our goals. A goal is something different than a habit or a behavior. Now, decisions, we need to be conscious about them. Sometimes we just say, oh, I'm going to do this, and we don't really think it through. You need to think it all the way through. How is it going to have an effect on what you want to do, on your life, on your goals? And think about those choices as moment-to-moment decisions, because the other thing that a lot of times I've seen this so much in nutrition, and especially in nutrition, but even in exercise, you eat the wrong thing in the morning, and then you just throw it all away for the day. Throw it all away and you have bad food all day, instead of saying, that was my choice I made this morning, now I'm going to make a different choice now. Then behaviors. What are behaviors? Well, look at the things that are sabotaging your goals and your success, first of all. I think it's really important to know what isn't working to define what is working. Then let's go look at the behaviors that are going to set us on the course to our goals, and start small. Again, I say start small and track. Okay, habits. These are those routines, systems that you have in place every day. And it's a really good idea to bookend a little system in the morning and a system at night, and even systems on the week, I think, but certainly morning and night. Start with one. Start with just the morning. Don't try to do both right away. Then track it again. I like the app Don't Break the Chain. And again, I like 15-minute starts. So I like to do things for 15 minutes, set a time where I can get things done, and I can handle that. That equals the compound effect, which is a series of small, smart choices over time. But patience is the key. This is daily, unexciting, unsexy, mundane, often difficult, boring, seemingly uneventful, making not a big impact choices that we make every single day over time. I would love to hear how you've put the compound effect in practice in your life, and or how you want to put the compound effect into practice in your life. Keep up with it. Talk to us about it. Share with us your experiences and the things that you've changed and you begin to change over time. Ask me any questions you want. Otherwise, you guys all have a good night, and I will see you again soon. Happy compound effecting.